is not. So, but this is what we're doing. So basically, you cook your noodles. Now, one of the key points in cooking is not overcooking the noodle. You can use rice noodles. I started to do that. But one of the things with rice noodles is they cook so quick and they disintegrate. And so when you're trying to reach people to make a change, you want to try, not that everything has to be exactly like it, but you can do a good so that they can see that I can do this. Yeah, because I was thinking when I came in, the food was absolutely awful. And they were eating a lot of the meat substitutes. And I thought, if this is what I have to eat, you know, I couldn't do it. So I purposed that I was not going to throw away any of my recipes. I was going to take them and convert them. So that's what I encourage you. Take it and fix it the way it needs to be so you can be able to be on a total plant. Amen. Amen. And encourage others to do the same, because as we have been here this weekend, we see that a lot of the conditions that we're suffering with is as a result of the kinds of diet that we're on. And if we're on a lot of meat, dairy, and cheese, we are going to have some issues. It's the bottom line. And so if we want to affect the change, then we make a change. And you know, change is usually not welcome. You know, I did that. But I would tell him he made a decision that he was going to be, at the time that he did, a vegetarian. No one knew what a vegetarian was. Never heard of a vegetarian. Wow. So what's that? Wow. So now, today, knowledge has increased. Right. So now you know, you not only are you can be a vegetarian, you can be a vegan, and you know, you can be a fruitarian, you can be a sproutarian, you know, and it goes on. I'm a flexitarian. And a flexitarian. Yes, that's right. Yes, a flexitarian as well. So now you can be whatever you would like to be. So when I talked to him about this change that he had made, I told him, because I had no knowledge that he was going to die. And he let me know and informed me that he was dying anyway. And he had to make some changes. So he was going to do this. So it wasn't an option. But for me, I like my chicken and steaks and lobsters and the whole 9 yards. And he said, that's fine, but it's not an option to bring any pork into our house. So I had to eat pork at my mother's house. Wherever I wanted to have it, it wasn't coming in our house. Right. So that's fine. So the Lord put me in a position where we started living with a guy who was a born vegetarian. Born. And so he says, well, let me get someone to give you some cooking classes. I don't need no cooking classes. My daddy taught me how to cook, so I don't need no class. But he said, oh, but you need to know how to fix these kind of things. So I said, okay. So this girl came over to these class, and she had some string beans that she wanted to introduce me to. So she cooked them, and they were slightly steamed. So for me, coming up the way I came up, you put them on and you cook them all day long. No way. Right? She cooked them and they was light and they were popping, you know. That's how I eat it. Yeah. And so I let her know. I said, you know, I can't eat these. These are raw. She said, these are not raw. This is the right way to eat it. I said, well, I'm not accustomed to that. Right. And so I had to learn to be accustomed to it. And there's a young lady who worked with now, and she says, oh, they not cooked. So I understand where she is. So I can be touching feelings of her infirmity. So you want to just take what you have and reach out and touch somebody else. But you want also to remember, in the classes we teach, you have to reach people where they are. Yes. You cannot go there eating and teaching them where you are, because they will not do it. It is not well. So reach them where they are, give them alternative, give them other options so they can see that there's a better way. So they will know and experience, and then you cook it for them so they can be able to try. So macaroni and cheese is one of the favorites that you can always. Now, one of the key things in making a macaroni, it must be moist. When you cook it, it cannot be dry. If it's dry, it's going to turn people off. It needs to be moist. So what do you have to do? You have to add a lot more sauce to it. When you add the sauce to it, then it gives when it bakes up like regular macaroni. So you want to always remember that. Okay? Any questions on that?
What those cheese did you use? Was that cashew?
We use cashew. Yeah, we took the cashews and mixed it up, and then we put some other cheese in it and more yeast flakes, because the yeast flakes makes it taste cheesy. More cheesy.
I use lemon juice for that.
Well, the lemon juice works, but the lemon juice is going to be tardy. Depending upon whether if you use fresh, it's not as much. And then if you buy it, it's going to be a little bit more tardy. So you want to try not for it to be as tardy, but that it will be cheesy or cheesy. So, the question is, can you use soy milk? Actually, excuse me, we don't use any soy milk in it. So it's only made with the cashews. So you can look at the recipe. The recipe is in the cookbook, and it is on page 62. So you can have your page numbers as you go. But anyway, but you must remember to blend it very well till it's real creamy. So what you do, what really helps is starting off with the cashew. Yeah, blend tech would be good, but if you don't, you have to just use
Vitamix.
Blendtec sponsoring that.
A Vitamix.
Are you being, Dr. Doctor, are you sponsored by Blendtec? Are you sponsored by Blendtec?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Those, what I found is that the Blendtecers are really like that.
Practical experience in cooking classes.
Blendtecs are good.
I can't even run the
Blendtecs are good.
getting hot. Blendtec.
He's extra.
They don't
So
do that. You can blend for a long time.
I'm not knocking it, but I put that used to be number one. Blendtec is not number one.
Oh my goodness. I know. I got a lot of Blendtec friends. Yeah, not spending $600 on a blender.
Four. Okay. Now, the next that we did was your sunburgers, and they are found on page 46. The sunburgers. Now, the reason why we usually use this particular burger, when I came in, they were using a lot of what you call.
You go ahead. I'm not a brownie person.
Oak burgers. Everybody was doing oak burgers. And so I found that when you go around to different places, especially around the world, rice is more expensive. People are not usually allergic to rice. If there is some problem and they are allergic to rice, there's something wrong with that. It's rare. It's very rare. So rice is more universal, and then you can do a lot with it. This is very simple because you just grind up your seeds, mix them up, put season in them, and remember to make your sauce where it is thick enough so that it molds. You got to put enough liquid in it that it will mold. If not, then it's going to be very dry. Okay. So rice is very high in B vitamins. Rice is very high in your amino acids, and so very high in calcium and vitamin E.
Brown rice?
Brown rice. Okay, so you want to. Yes, you cook the rice first and then now. There are many ways of cooking your rice or any of your grains. When you're doing burgers or patties, or if you want to make a loaf or whatever, you add more water to it. Normally, if I want it nice, flaky, and grainy, I do 2-part water to 1 part rice. If I want to make burgers, then I do 3 to 1.
Oh, so
Why?
more
Because
sauce.
I want it softer,
Mhm.
and I want to be able to mold it
Mhm.
where it stays together, baby. Okay? Any questions on that? All right, the next dish, yep, I don't have it up here.
So with the rice, you don't have to add any flaxseed or oatmeal.
No. Now, we put to this recipe, we put 1 tablespoon of flour simply to help mold it a little bit more. But if you cook that rice right with that amount of water, you don't really have to do it. It'll mold by itself. Okay, now the other dish that we have up here is the tofu. Well, it's still. Now, tofu comes in different kinds. Now, you're not gonna have a recipe in the cookbook for the tofu. Tofu is simple. When I say simple, you just get extra firm. Now, at Walmart has a super firm that is off the chain. I like that better. Now, huh? Trader Joe has one that's, oh, really? I haven't had that one. That one would be,
High protein one.
yeah, that one maybe is nice when you do it. Okay. Now with this, all you do is take your tofu, this is in the package, and you drain it. But now in draining it, you want to take some paper towels and pat the water that's in it, because it will affect you doing what you want to do. Then we cut it, whatever way. Now we did it, cut it in, that we had 5 slices. Then we did 4 slices, and then we sliced it in half. Now you can make them whichever way you want. I like that. Now I use this a lot with stir fry, and I use rice with it. Or we have a primavera dish that we make with using spaghetti with broccoli, and we make the tofu like this and add it to it with some peas, and it's complete. You have your grain there, you have your protein there, you have fat there. Now, in your meal planning, in your cookbook, there is let's see if I can do the page really quick. This book is not only a cookbook, but it's a nutritional book. So I have a lot of your nutritional information. In here, there is what we call our God's Plan Basic Menu. So what is that? That tells you how to fix your food, how to do your menu. So we see that in order for you to have adequate nutrition, there are 3 nutrients that you need every day in your diet. And that is carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Now, we live in a world that teaches us that you don't eat too many carbs because they'll make you fat. You know, and so you stay away from carbs. But now I encourage you to study for yourself, because there's a lot of programs out, and every year a new diet program comes out. Now, we are admonished that in Isaiah 8, 20, to the law and to the testimony.
If they speak not.
If they speak not. Yeah. So I'm encouraging you to look at the foundation and see what you need. Yeah, because if not, then we're gonna be lacking. Now, and why do I say this? Because as I teach the classes that we have at the ministry, we teach the students that they need to have carbohydrates in their diet every day. Why? Because when you look at carbohydrates, carbohydrates is where your fuel and energy comes from. And when you're dealing with a diabetic, that's where you're going to have your glucose for your blood sugar and your brain. So if you decide, well, it's gonna make me fat, so I'm not gonna eat it. So then what's gonna happen is your body is gonna start to use the second source of energy, which is fat. And then if you don't have any fat present, then if you're eating all protein foods, then your body is going to have some problems with your calcium level. Why? Because your body draws on your calcium to neutralize all that acid that you put in. And the protein has extra gases. It's designed to digest in the stomach, and then everything else goes down through, and then in the small intestine. So if you do not understand, then you just eat what everybody else says. And then we will be lacking in our nutrients. So we need carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals, everything. And so we can't get that in eating one thing every single day. One talk about my mother. You don't get it oatmeal every day. We gotta do something different in the oatmeal. So have a variety. So what does this menu does? It gives you an idea of what to do for your meals. You can find that on page 196. And then it has a page before it, it gives you a suggested 7-day menu. So what does that mean? That means that whatever you eat today, you can have 7 different meals before you turn around and change. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
And then your body is going to be very happy because you're not eating the same thing all the time. Okay? And so with the other dish we had, everybody likes sweets. So we have our double brownie. And let me see what page is on. I don't have the recipe up here. Who is it? I think it's 1 something. And in the book here, you have food safety principles. You have another principle, food combining, how you should combine your food. It also talks about food classification. There is a food combining chart. I found that when I came into this message, there's all kinds of different charts showing you how to put this with that. And you know what? All of it was confusion. Yeah. So I went back to the BIBLE. That's the book for me. And I found from there, I went to Genesis and saw the original diagram and asked God for wisdom as to how to be able to combine them. And so in here, it shows what God gave in the beginning. He gave the fruit tree yielding fruit after its time, the herb yielding seed. And then he gave us the green herbs of the field, which were given only to us to eat after man sinned. Why? How you think about it?
To help prevent the diseases, because, you know, because of sin, we're gonna get sick, no?
And minerals.
The vitamins.
My husband probably showed this to you, I'm sure. When man sinned, God added these things to his diet. Because the molecular structure of these greens is the same as our red blood cells. Okay?
The
The
same.
molecular structure. So we need these green things to be able to nourish our blood. And God knew that if we didn't have these, we wouldn't have the calcium we need. We wouldn't have the iron we need. We wouldn't have the iodine that we needed for our thyroid. So we didn't need these. But then after we sinned, God gave it to us. Now, I made a pot of these greens to show that when you use these, I believe in our diet every day, we need some green leafy food, be it cabbage or broccoli or Brussels sprouts or lettuce, but it needs to be green or romaine lettuce in our diet.
Or red. Yeah.
Because it's the darker green. This is different from your iceberg. Iceberg
It's
is
water.
mainly
Water.
crunch.
Mhm.
Nutrients are here. The darker the leaves, the better they are for you.
Mhm.
And you need to have something, like I said, every single day in your diet. Now, be it whether you eat your heavy meal in the morning or you eat it in the afternoon, and hopefully not at the evening. Have something raw or have something green. That will give your body the nutrients that.
You said to eat something raw at night?
No, yes, you can.
Oh.
Yeah, you can have like,
But not heavy.
fruit, yeah. When I say heavy, you know, now we read the statement that, we should have our heaviest meal. You've heard that. So everybody said, okay, heavy means what we had right here. You know, now, in our school, we don't give the students this kind of foods in the mornings. Because when you are using a lot of mental activity, these kinds of foods will put you to sleep. They will be sleep before they will put you to sleep. So we give them 2 meals a day. That first meal for breakfast is what we call a fruit meal.
Mhm.
Why? Because they can use their brain more, they can retain more, they're not asleep. Then at the afternoon, we give this meal, and then they're able to be active. Why? Because now we're going to do things physical, and they can do it. Now, if a person have a job where they're doing physical in the morning, then they may need to eat like this. But if you are sitting at a desk, you don't need this kind of food. It needs to be light. And so when we look at the combination chart again, there are foods that are on here that would be considered neutral. Now, we usually say, well, papaya, pineapple are neutral. So we eat it as a fruit, and we eat it with these kinds of items. Now, when you put a fruit meal with this kind of meal, then this will digest quicker and retard that fruit in there, and it'll cause it to stay in the stomach longer. So fruit, it does it quickly.
Mhm.
And so when you combine them, then it slows one down, and it's the one that's usually out. So when we think of fruit and vegetables, then it's better to have the fruit meal one time and the vegetable meal another time. That's just for information. Now, we have found that it is better that way, but traditionally we have eaten, like for instance, we'll have this and then we'll have some apple pie.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Or we
Watermelon.
may have some
Watermelon.
a
Ice cream.
some what?
Ice cream.
You can have some ice cream, but remember, ice cream is cold. And so if you put cold in there,
It
With
messes
that-
up with.
the stomach is going to,
It's gonna cost it, I guess.
it's gonna pause it and then it's gonna cool it off. And some things may ferment before it gets out. So it's better to have it at one meal and another. And then, now, here are the things that I saw from Genesis that you can have with vegetables or with fruit. And I put it as neutral in the middle. Now, that would be grains. All your grains. Millet, quinoa, barley, buckwheat, quinoa. Those are grains. So you can have that with fruit or with vegetables. The next thing is all your herbs or seeds.
Keeps moving.
Pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, almonds, all of those can be eaten. Then the next thing is where we have the needing understanding. Avocado, coconut, ackee, lemons, limes, and almonds. Now, when you take those things and you look them up, and botanically, they say that they are a fruit. Why? Because they are fruit, yielding fruit after its kind. Now, the next thing is, okay, if I can have that, why can I have that ackee or these olives with my vegetables? Or with my fruit? Either one. Why?
Because it's not sweet.
It's not sweet?
Yeah.
What else?
It makes your pH more.
Alkaline.
Digestion system works
Mhm.
better.
Works better. Now, there's a statement that says that we should have olives with every one of our meals. You know why?
It's a digestive.
They're high in fat. Fat is a lubricant. It goes down through, it helps to move things along. It's like the fiber. Most of the time we get fiber. But you know, if you eat a lot of fiber and you don't drink enough water, it's gonna automatically concentrate you.
The oil will also help absorb the fat soluble vitamins in the green or
Absolutely.
in the fruit.
Absolutely. So if you eliminate, like I was mentioning, when we first came in, Weimar had a diet called the no oil diet.
No oil?
No oil.
Oh.
That means no free oils were used at all. So you were, if you were using oil in any form, you were sinning. And so years later, 20 years later, then they started to have, their hair was dry. The skins was dry. So they're saying that they saw that they were missing this fat in their diet because they said no. So now, how do you get it? Where you get it makes a difference. Yeah. And so we teach people you have to have fat. They were, and then we had the children, some parents were, no oil, no nuts, no avocados, and so the children were having movement problems. They could not bend their knees. They would have to drag their feet flat. They had no fat lubrication. And so you need that fat in the diet. So we need to go thin, clear, and power.
Your eyes also dry out.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people will have their eyes will tear, but they have the dry, irritated eyes all the time. And you especially need the omega-3.
Oh, absolutely. And so these things are, this is what we would call wisdom, but without understanding. And so we need to do that. Any questions on that? So there's a chart, and it shows you what can be with fruit or with vegetables. Now, let me mention this while I'm on this. The herbs of the field, you can get it from 4 areas of the plant. It can come from a blossom, a leaf, a stem, or a root. So when we hear the term that it has to have if it blossoms, it's a fruit. But it may be that, but then when it comes from the green herbs of the field, we shouldn't be putting that with the apple or orange or banana. Because even though it blossomed, it's still from Genesis 3:18. It's from the plant. And we can't put that. Now, what is that? That is cucumbers.
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet, no. Cucumbers, eggplants, squash.
Watermelons in the same class.
Watermelon would be, in a similar category. There was one other. What?
Tomatoes.
Wait, say that again?
This
They come
is
from
the
a
big
vine.
one.
They come from a flower,
What?
the tomato.
So
They
you
blossom.
Huh?
They come from a blossom.
Yes.
Now, there's another, it's not called a tomato, it's called a tamarilla. You ever seen a tamarilla? Tamarilla is a tree ripened tomato.
It's on the tea.
It's called a tamarilla.
We
And you
didn't
know what it
how to
looks like? It looks like a Rome tomato, but it is one that grows for several years and then it dies to the root and it has to be replanted. This one you have to replant every year because it's annual. But the tamarilla is pre-annual, and you know what? You only find it in foreign countries. You can see it, occasionally you can buy one.
So these are all considered fruits.
Huh?
They are all considered fruits because of the blossom.
That's right. But it's not a fruit that can be eaten with actually fruits because of the way in which it grows and where it comes from. It comes from the plant. These others come from a tree and they come back annually. You don't have to plant it. And so it's something that we need to look at because when we don't combine our foods right, it has a bearing on our health condition. It really does. So what I pray that God will give you wisdom and give you understanding. Amen.
Amen.
Any question? Any other question or comment? There was one other dish that we didn't look at. Let me find it real quick for you. And that is, we love to have our desserts. And we like them so well, right? This one is called a double carrot. It's a carrot brownie. You know what, I'm just gonna look at it.
One of the things that's really interesting about the grains, what she's talking about building the blood, this is why it says over and over and over, building the blood. The chlorophyll in the grains is identical to our hemoglobin. The only difference is in hemoglobin is iron. Inside the chlorophyll is magnesium, and the body can easily switch it, pull out that magnesium, and that helps to dilate our blood vessels to keep our blood pressure down. So when you eat greens, you really help your blood pressure, And those cells are made in our long bones in the marrow. That's where the stem cells come from that can go anywhere in your body to heal. So when you're eating greens, you're really doing your body a tremendous good.
Yes. Amen. So the other dish is our brownie, carrot brownie.
Who's good?
Now, this brownie does not need to have a icing on it. It is a very simple, I believe that we should have things, keep it real simple. The simpler it is, the better it is.
Yeah.
And this brownie is very simple. You just put all of your dry ingredients and then you put your liquid, you fold it in, put it in the pan and bake it. No fuss, no trouble, and then it lasts a long time. You can put it on in the, maybe you have a bread box or something. I don't like to put cakes in the refrigerator. When you refrigerate them, it makes them dense and they don't stay as fresh unless you are going to freeze it. Then you can do it. But this is a very good recipe that works real simple. You can have, it's a lovely Sabbath meal that you can have, and you don't have to worry about, you can have it with fruits or with vegetables. No problem. Amen?
Amen.
Yes,
Can you do it without the nuts?
you can. You can take any recipe and change it to your life. You can take the nuts out. I'm taking the coconut, there's coconut shreds in it, you can take that out. I put carrot chips in, I can take the carrot chips out. You can do whatever you would like to do. Any questions, any other questions or comments?
You know what the carrot does for you that's beneficial? Some benefits from the carrot.
It's very high in calcium.
And sometimes you go into these health food stores and you see they have lots of chocolate, but the carrot has superior.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen a carrot tree in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
It's different from cocoa.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. John Baptist. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Not,
Really
pray that all is well. Yes. And, we thank the Lord for being able to be with you. We switched a little bit. Normally we would have our class and then we would eat after we do it, but since we accommodated the God's pharmacy, we have to share, I tell my husband all the time that he comes from a family where there were 8 children. And there was 12 years between, he was the youngest, so there's 12 years between he and the one next to him. And so I come from a family where there was 7 of us, but then we are close together. And so I'm on the upper, so I'm the second child, and he was the last child. So I have to teach him sometimes, so I have to help him learn to share. Because he was on the end, and so he didn't have to share. But when you're up top, you have to share. It's not an option. My daddy said, look, you have to take it. Okay. So it's not a problem. But anyway, we thank the Lord for this program. We thank him that you were able to endure to the end. Because as we have come here, from the time that we got here, it was a challenge.
Yes.
A challenge, and we didn't know whether the class was going to go on or what was going to happen. We didn't know. But the Lord said, we go forward and we know that it's not gonna be without us. So now we look back, it is behind.
You have to have a test in order to have a testimony.
Yes, that's,
But this is the best program I've ever been to since, as a Seventh-day Adventist.
How long have you been?
About maybe 10 years.
Well, Black Hills was good. It
Yeah.
was really good. And we involved the people in the
In the
making of
community.
the food and food preparation. So it wasn't like they were just eating and they didn't see or hands-on. And one of my things, I like you, I wanted to veganize it. You know, veganize the comfort foods that I was raised with. I was raised with pork and we didn't have seafood because my mother was allergic to it. But we had fish, we had steak every Sunday, we had, I mean, all of it. And the only meat that I missed, never went back to it, was turkey. And God showed, he had such a sense of humor. And I worked at a turkey plant for 3 weeks. And that took care of the turkey.
Oh, this stuff is.
I know that's right. That's how he worked, that's how he worked with me. The last that I was on was chicken. And I was on my way back to Chicago to visit all my families there. And I was on my way back to Chicago and on the way there, we had the radio on, and there was a news broadcast that the chickens were having some problems and that whatever the problems they were having, people were getting killed from the chicken and it wasn't bothering me. So I made a determination. I said, well, I'm gonna have to stop this. So when I got back to Chicago, the very first thing that they had there for me to eat was chicken. So I said, oh, I'm not eating it anymore. What? You know? Oh, man.
And then you told them why. You know, the butterball, bacon and ham and stuff like that. The meat, I kid you not, it's transparent grease. It's from the breeder hens. And they take it, all the hormones they put in. And then they dye it to make it look like whatever meat they want to put it with. And I cut out cancer out of the meat. And I mean, it took care of like I said, I never went back to it, but there was always such a. But no,
Well, I never had that, praise God. But let's stand and have prayer and thank the Lord. May the Lord bless each and every one, and as you go along your way, touch the life of someone. Give an encouraging word, because you never know what somebody else is going through and what it's going to take. God has brought us into his kingdom in order that we may touch the life of someone else. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for what you have done for us. And now, Lord, we ask that you would take us as homeowners, as we lay all of our plans at thy feet. Use us in thy service, abide with us, that all of our works be brought in thee. And Lord, I pray for the one amongst us that's having a health condition. I ask, Lord, that you will give her what she needs. Give her wisdom, give her understanding. And may she be a blessing to those that she come in contact with. This I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Praise the Lord.
I know.
oh,
Sorry, that's okay.
with the messages,
We get it, you know, it is. I love.
I didn't know. That's why this one is true. Mommy, this one is here. No, oh, yeah, mommy. Now you can just have Walmart in there. I'll put away the lawn. You need money? Yeah.
So how long have you been, are you